Okay, so here it asks you what language you want, time and currency format, so English United States, and keyboard or input method, and you just click next. And then, what do you think you do? You click install now. Of course, it gives you a license that you have to accept that everybody is supposed to read, but nobody does. So just check yes, I did not read this. Next. And then, so now, which type of installation do you want? If this was, let's say, Windows XP and we were upgrading to Windows Vista, we would have an upgrade option. Since there's no real operating system on this computer, we just do a custom, so a full installation. It asks which hard drive we want to install on, so we just do the primary. Next. Oops. Formatting. Okay, so we just do drive options. What we'll do is we'll delete both these hard drives since they're causing a problem. We'll delete that one, and we'll delete this one. So there was something about those two partitions that Vista did not like, and so we could not install Windows Vista onto the partitions. So all we did is we deleted the partitions that were there. Now we create a new partition. So we just do click New, we click Apply. And now we have a new partition that we can use. Now we can click Next. And so now it's going to install the Windows Vista operating system onto that new partition. Now, when we deleted those partitions, like I'm saying, in this process, that just deleted all the information that was sitting on the hard drive. So if I had any documents on there, if I had any videos, if I had anything at all, it is now gone, irrecoverable. Yeah, gone. And so now we are going to be booting into the setup screens for Windows Vista, where it asks you things like your name and what time zone you're in and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so it's asking you what you want your username to be. So my username will be user. It will now ask you the password that you want and what kind of picture you want for your membership. I'm just going to skip the password for now. Then it'll ask you what you want your computer to be named. So user-PC is fine. This is for automatic updates. We'll just use recommended settings. This now asks you what time zone you're in. So we're Eastern time zone. Next. And then start. And so after you gave it all that information, it's now going to dump that all into the computer. And so now we are booted into Windows Vista. So as of this point, the operating system is completely installed. Oops. So right now, the operating system is completely installed on this computer. The last step that we have to go into is to look and make sure that all the device drivers have been installed properly so that the hardware on the computer works how you need it to. Okay, so now we need to talk about installing the device drivers. You install the device drivers in a Windows operating system using something called Device Manager. For operating systems going all the way back to Windows 2000, the way you can get to Device Manager is by opening up your little start menu, right-clicking My Computer, selecting something called Manage, and then in there is Device Manager. If you're working with other operating systems, remember, all Windows operating systems use the program called Device Manager in order to deal with hardware, to deal with the device drivers. If you can't figure out how to get to Device Manager, just do a little Google search and they'll be able to tell you. They've used Device Manager all the way since Windows 95, and they'll probably use it forever. So there's 3 or 4 different ways to get to it. The easiest way, and the way that's the same all the way from Windows 2000 to Windows Server 2008, is to do Start Menu, right-click My Computer, and then go to Manage. We'll show you that here. So we'll go in. So as I've said, you click Start Menu, then you go up to Computer or My Computer, you right-click, so right-click is this side, right-click, and then you select Manage. Of course you say Continue, because this is Vista. Okay. Now under the Computer Management Console, that's what this is called, you'll go to Device Manager. Click here. Now what you'll see is if the device drivers are installed properly, you actually won't see much. It'll just tell you the disk drive that's installed, and it'll tell you what disk drive is installed. The display adapter, it'll tell you what display adapter is installed. Now if there is a problem, you will see a little yellow exclamation mark, or a circle with an exclamation mark in it. That means that there is a problem with that driver and it's not working properly. The first and easiest way to try to fix this problem is, if your network card is working, you just right-click on the device and then you select Update Driver Software. You then say Search automatically for updated driver software, and then it doesn't find it. So the first way to try to update your device drivers is by right-clicking and then do Update Driver Software. If that does not work, then you'll need to go to the site of whoever manufactures your hardware and try to get a device driver from there. So this is a Dell Inspiron 1420. So we'll have to go to Dell now. So we go to Internet Explorer. Since we're on Dell now, we'll then go to Support, because this is where the drivers will be located. It'll be under Support. We'll go for Home Users. We'll say we're a home user. And then there's Drivers and Downloads. I'm looking for drivers. So we'll go select, how do you want to find the drivers you need? We'll go select model. We will say it's a laptop. We will say it's an Inspiron laptop. We will say it's a 1420. Confirm. Vista, so applications, and then here's all the drivers for this computer. So we'll go here. Now it says other devices, so we're going to actually have to try to figure out what these other devices might be. So this is missing its Bluetooth driver. Vodafone driver, singular. that. Let's see, network. Okay, so this is the driver for the Bluetooth. So we would click download. It'll ask you where you want to save it, so we'll just click save. I will save it on the desktop to make it easier to find. So I showed you how to install the device drivers if you just do the automatic update. I just showed you can download an executable file from the manufacturer of whoever made the hardware that made your computer. Then you can also, if you right-click on the problem device and do update driver, you can do browse my computer for driver software manually. And then from here, you can tell the computer where the drivers are located. So we'll say those drivers are located in the place where that Dell program put them. So Dell. Okay. And if you hit next, it will now find the driver for you. That didn't actually find the driver for you, but that's how you install the device drivers onto the computer. So in order to get to computer management or a device manager, you go to computer or my computer, you right click on it, you go to manage, and then that brings you to this screen. You go to device manager, and when you come here to device manager, this will show you where you have the problem devices. The easiest way is, if your network card works, to try to update your device drivers is to right click on the problem device, do update driver software, and do search automatically. If you know where the driver software is located, you can do browse my computer, so you can manually show it where the device driver software is. You can also download an executable file many times from the manufacturer of your hardware that will automatically install the device driver onto your computer. Now the one quirk with this that you have to remember is those updates. So if that just normally downloaded, we'll be able to minimize that, and now this is the driver file. So we will allow, we will continue. So this is going to unpack the device drivers to here. C:\Del drivers are 140135, that folder. You said okay. Yes. And then you hit okay. As we've been. Just zoom in on it. So to get to Windows updates, all you do is you go down to the little start button. This is the same for Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP, and then you go to all programs. When you go here, there will be Windows Update link. So use this link to go to Windows Update. Now, depending on what operating system you're using, this may look a little different. So Windows XP looks different than this. If you're using Windows XP, and this is a new installation, you will be asked if you want to upgrade to something called Microsoft Update. Here, you'll just see this little link, Get Updates for More Products. You want to click on that. This is going to upgrade you to something called Microsoft Update. Windows Update only updates the operating system. That's it. It doesn't update Office, it doesn't update Map Point, it doesn't update, I don't know, any other Microsoft product you have on your computer. Microsoft Update updates everything. So when you use Microsoft Update, You'll update Windows, you'll update Office, you'll update all Microsoft products. Now, you may ask why this isn't the default. Why do you just not update everything at once? I don't know. So, all I can tell you is that you need to upgrade and get Microsoft Update. So you click on the little agree button and then you install it. And then you continue. And now it's checking for updates. Then you're going to install new update software, and you're going to go continue. We'll just go through this one little thing first. So now it's downloading and will install the updates. This, for a brand new computer system, will take hours. So it'll take you 30 minutes to an hour to install the operating system, and then it'll take you, I don't know, anywhere between 2 to 6 hours to install all the updates. And no, I'm not joking. Let's zoom out on that.
To update Windows 10 to the latest version, head to your browser and search for Windows 10 Download. Click the result from Microsoft.com to view the download options. A notification to update to the latest OS release should appear at the top with the prompt Update Now. Click that to download the update installer. When you open the installer, it will say which version you have installed and confirm if you can update to a newer release. In this case, we have version 1909 installed, while the newer release is 20H2. Click Update Now to begin the process. The installer will confirm if your PC can handle the new update, and once you click Next, the update will start to download. Once the download has finished, the PC will start a 30-minute countdown to restarting to finish the update. You can click Restart Now to begin it immediately. Your PC will now restart itself and take over as it installs the new OS version. It'll provide an install status and launch to the desktop once complete.
In this video, we're going to see how you can create a new user account on Windows. So to create a new user account, just click on Start, open Settings, here go to Accounts, now go to Family and Other Users, and click here. Now I want to create a user account without a Microsoft account. So let's click here, click this option. Now here, give a username and password for your account. I'm going to enter my details. Next, you need to give a secret question for resetting your password. Once you have done this, click Next. And as you can see, our new user account has been created. So to log into the new account, just click Start and click the user account. Here, select the new user account which you have created. And it will take you to the login page. Here, enter the password you set for the account. And as you can see, we have got a new account. So that's it guys. This is how you can create a new user account on Windows.
We are now going to talk about operating systems in relation to security now. An operating system, or OS, is system software that manages computer hardware and software resources and provides common services for computer applications. The operating system is the main software on a computer that controls all the applications. Examples of desktop operating systems include Windows 7, 8, 10, also macOS, Debian Linux, Ubuntu Linux, BSD, Solaris, etc. On the mobile phone, there are operating systems such as iOS for Apple, Android, Windows OS, BlackBerry OS, Symbian, and so on. The operating system has full control of all actions on a device. If the operating system isn't secure or is compromised, it is absolutely game over from the start for your security. The OS needs to be a secure base to hope to have a secure environment. There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to operating systems and security. You may have heard, for example, that Macs can't get viruses. Not true. Lots of people also say that Windows is terrible when it comes to security. Not necessarily true either. Then you've got people in the Linux camp that think Linux is the greatest operating system for security without fault. Not true. Linux, like any operating system, isn't perfect. So let's explore some of those beliefs based on facts and statistics over the next few lectures and see where we actually end up when it comes to the security of common operating systems. First, let's consider the security features available within operating systems and also available third-party apps for those operating systems. So, Windows. Windows has got a bad track record. There's no doubt about that. It's had weak security design from the beginning, but you have to give credit where credit is due. In the more recent operating systems, Microsoft has started to take security seriously. And with its later products and its later security features like BitLocker, Device Guard, Windows Hello, Windows Trusted Apps, it has a fairly solid set of security features now. The thing that lets Windows down, especially with the more recent Windows 10, are the tracking and privacy issues, which is a slightly different thing to security features, but it does put some people off. We will be covering Windows security and privacy features and applications in much more detail as we go through the course. This is an overview. Next, macOS. Currently, again, like Windows, has a reasonable, solid base of security features, things like address space, layout randomization, application sandboxing, File Vault 2, privacy controls, Apple's trusted store apps, and so on. All strong security features, but if you were to compare Windows 10 to the latest macOS, Windows has more security features and much more third-party security applications are available for Windows over macOS. So what do I mean by that? So for example, if you're looking for a good application firewall for macOS or another security product or feature that you're going to get from a third party, you have limited choice. There just isn't as much available. For Windows, the choice is almost endless. We will be covering macOS security and privacy features and applications in more detail as we go through the course. Then we have Linux type operating systems, BSD types, Unix-like operating systems. There's a large variety of these operating systems, so I'm bucketing them all together for convenience here for this lecture. But if you're looking for the most secure operating systems, this is where you're going to find them. The likes of Qubes OS, Tails, Debian, Arch Linux would be good examples of security and privacy focused operating systems. And we will of course be covering Qubes OS, Tails, and other Linux operating system security features and applications as we go through the course. And just for your information, if you're looking for beginner friendly Linux operating systems, then consider Manjaro, Ubuntu, and Mint. But Debian is my recommendation for a general use operating system that also considers security and privacy if you're looking for a Linux operating system. When we consider Windows, Mac, and Linux, Windows has the most security features and third-party security applications available. Mac has the least security features and third-party security applications available, and Linux is where the security-focused operating systems can be found. Windows, macOS, and Linux, based on their security features, can all be used as a secure base operating system. But if you need higher levels of protection, you'll be looking towards Linux type operating systems. On the mobile platform, the main competing operating systems are Android from Google and iOS from Apple. Android is a more open operating system, meaning you're allowed to do more with it and you can do more with it, which is great, but this isn't good for security though. iOS is a closed system, restricting what you can do, so you can do less on it than you can on Android, but because it's a restricted operating system, a closed operating system, this is good for security. Android is improving its security all the time, but iOS from Apple would be the market leader if you're looking for a secure mobile operating system right now.
In this video from IT Free Training, I will look at some basic troubleshooting techniques. CompTIA has their own troubleshooting model, which I will look at in a later video. For this video, I will just give an introduction to basic troubleshooting techniques. To understand the basics of troubleshooting, let's start with a joke which explains all the basic principles of IT troubleshooting. Consider that you have a car with a manager, an engineer, and an IT technician all in the vehicle. The vehicle travels down a hill and the brakes fail. The vehicle travels at speed off the road and almost falls off a cliff. Everyone gets out of the vehicle and they are thankful they are still alive after almost falling off the cliff. They all urgently need to get to a meeting in the city on the future of free training. So they need to get the car fixed and get on their way as soon as possible. The manager says, "We need to have a series of meetings, work out a plan and a strategy. We next need to implement the strategy and then have further meetings to work out if the strategy was effective." The engineer says, "That is going to take too long, and that never worked before. What needs to happen is that I need to get some tools and get under the car and fix the problem." The IT technician just laughs. "You're both wrong. What we need to do is push the car back up the hill, roll the car back down the hill, and see if it happens again." You can start to understand the basics of IT troubleshooting. One of the first questions asked is, can you replicate the problem? If you can't, there is no problem to fix. Now you can understand why so many IT technicians will say, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" If you turn it off and on again and the problem goes away, there is nothing to solve. Just for legal reasons, if the brakes on your car ever fail, please get them fixed. Don't push the car up the hill and see if it happens again. Let's now have a look at what to do when turning the computer off and on again does not work. There are many different ways to troubleshoot computer problems. One may work better in some cases, others may work better in other cases. Generally speaking, when a problem occurs, there is generally something that caused it. In this example, we will consider that the hard disk is failing. The hard disk is sometimes not reading and writing data correctly. In computers, generally there is only one thing causing the problem, and it is a matter of treating it like a logical problem to find out what it is. Find the cause, fix it, or replace it, and the problem goes away. In some cases, there will be multiple causes, but this is rare. For example, I once had a laser printer that was not working correctly. It had 2 faulty parts, which needed to be replaced for it to start working again. I replaced one thinking this would fix it. When it did not, I removed the part and replaced the other part, which again did not fix the problem. It took a while for me to work out that both parts were faulty. This is rare in computers, as generally there is only the one cause. The next thing to consider is the symptom. In this case, the symptom is the computer keeps crashing, giving a blue screen. The blue screen will give you an indication of how the crash occurred, but it may not always be true. For example, a failing hard disk may not appear as a hard disk problem. For example, corrupt data reads from the hard disk may cause a hardware crash in a completely unrelated system. If you find that switching it off and on again keeps giving different error messages, the cause may have nothing to do with the error message. Random blue screens can be anything from a failing hard disk, failing memory, or even a problem with the CPU. If any of these components start acting in a random way, they can cause other hardware and systems to crash, and thus the error message given by the blue screen could have nothing to do with the problem. The thing to consider when fixing problems like these is the consequences. A failing computer will result in lost productivity for the worker. Trying to figure out what is causing the problem will take time. Even more time may be required to fix it. For example, to copy the data from a hard disk to another hard disk takes time. For these reasons, many businesses deploy computers which store all of a user's data on the network. If the computer fails, it is a simple matter of replacing it with a new one. A good IT technician will have a computer ready to go. When they attempt to fix a computer, the clock is essentially ticking. If it starts ticking too long, replace the computer. Why? Because the consequences are lost productivity the longer it takes to fix. Therefore, the fastest fix is often to replace the whole computer. Once it is replaced, you can take the old computer away and work out what the problem is without having to hurry. This will keep the user happy and take the pressure off you. When fixing IT problems, always think about the consequences this will have to the business. This will often direct you to what should be fixed first and how you should go about it. Often a business cares more about the consequences than the problem itself. For example, replacing the computer will fix the consequences faster than fixing the cause. It is also important to consider that a particular cause may be a symptom of a much larger problem. For example, if the hard disk keeps failing all the time, it may be a problem with the manufacturing of a particular model. For example, I once worked in a business where the motherboards kept failing. The problem was poor quality capacitors that were used on the motherboard. Once we worked out which model was failing, it was an easy matter to remove those computers from service and get them repaired before they started failing. This is a good example of how you can sometimes proactively fix something before it starts impacting the business. The next troubleshooting process I will look at is the process of elimination. As the name suggests, it uses the process of elimination to find the cause of the problem. For example, let's consider a user cannot access a cloud-based application from their desktop computer. In order for this to work, the desktop computer needs to connect to the internet to access the cloud, which contains the application. The user has reported that the application is not working. Let's consider how we may troubleshoot it, using the process of elimination. First, let's make sure that we can access the local network. The problem could be as simple as a network cable being unplugged or a network device failing. Next, I would try and connect to the internet. It could be a simple matter of the internet connection being down, which is causing the problem. If this works, next try and access the cloud. For example, maybe accessing the cloud requires the application to have a username and password, or you may need to check online that the cloud services are available. The last step is to check that the application is available. If the application is available on the cloud, the problem may be something to do with the way the user is trying to access the application, or a problem with their settings. Looking at this, you may be thinking, could this be done in reverse? Could you check the application first, check the cloud is available, check the internet, followed by checking if the local area network is available? The answer is, yes, you can. There is no right or wrong answer. In fact, you could start in the middle by checking the internet first. The point to remember is, this is a process of elimination. You want to figure out what is working and what is not. Different IT technicians will work in a different order, and depending on the problem, your approach may vary. The point to remember is that there is no right or wrong way, just the process of elimination. Work out what works and what does not. This will lead you to what is causing the problem. In any decent-sized company, there will be some kind of problem management solution in place. The process and procedures will differ depending on your organization. Essentially, the users in your organization will report a problem to your help desk. Depending on your organization and your position, you may be responsible for taking the initial report of the problem, either by telephone or electronically. Once the problem has been reported, the organization will generally follow some sort of process to fix the problem. The process will, of course, differ from organization to organization, but will generally involve attempting to fix the problem initially, if it can be fixed, and confirm it was fixed. If not, the technician will attempt to gain more information and escalate the problem. Escalating may involve the problem going to a senior member or to the manufacturer of the software or hardware. In some cases, the problem may not be able to be fixed on the user's end. For example, if the user cannot access something on the internet or another site, a change may need to be made on the firewall. This change can potentially affect everyone. A small change on a large network can potentially affect a lot of users, and thus the process needs to be controlled. Many organizations will have a change management process. Change management will involve, as the name suggests, making a change to something. In the case of a firewall, a rule on the firewall may need to be changed. The change will be reviewed to ensure the change will not cause other problems on the network. Also, a lot of change management will include information about what to do if something goes wrong, and this is called a contingency. In the case of the firewall, if more problems occur, the contingency may be as simple as changing the rule back to what it was. This will fix the additional problems caused by the change, but will not fix the original problem reported by the user. Fixing the problem may take time, and if you are waiting for change management to fix the problem, it may take even longer. When this occurs, the good IT technician will think outside the box, so to speak, to get around the problem without fixing it. This is commonly referred to as a workaround. A workaround is essentially something that is used to avoid a problem, but not actually fix it. A workaround is generally used when you can't directly fix the problem. However, by using a workaround, you can get the functionality to work. Maybe the workaround is temporary or permanent, depending on the situation. Let's look at an example. Consider that there is an application server on the network. A user has been connecting to the application server without a problem. The problem occurs when the user moves to a different office. Now the user needs to connect to the application server through a firewall. The problem is the firewall is blocking the connection. There was not a problem before, as the user was on the same network. Changing a rule on the firewall to allow the connection will take some time. Perhaps the person who looks after the firewall is away from work. Perhaps it takes some time to get the request authorized. In some cases, it may not even be possible to get the change done. For example, maybe the user is on a network that you don't have any control of. Access to the application server is critical to the user performing their job function. This is a classic case where the consequences of a problem is more important than fixing the problem. The sooner you can get the user access to the server, the better. When in business, it is important to consider what effect not having access to something will cause. Telling the user the firewall will be fixed in a week or saying that it can't be fixed at all and walking away is not a good idea. The user will most likely talk to their manager, who will shortly call your manager, and you will be sent back to fix the problem. Often with problems like these, workarounds will help. In this example, the user's proxy server could be configured to a proxy server on the same network as the application server. As the proxy server is on the same network as the application server, the connection to the application server will be allowed. This workaround can be used until the firewall rule is changed. Using a workaround can also cause problems. In this example, the user's internet was also redirected to the proxy server, and thus their internet speed was slowed down, as it was not accessing the internet directly. In this case, a small inconvenience like this was more than an acceptable trade-off to access the application server that was critical to the user performing their duties. Often, a user will be happier with a workaround than not having anything at all. Always keep this in mind. At the end of the day, if you have made the user happy, you have done your job properly. I hope this introductory video on IT troubleshooting has been helpful. In later videos, I will look into more detail about troubleshooting. Until those videos, I would like to thank you for watching.